I want to do this video, and just because I know it's going to be fucking annoying. Just going to warn you ahead of time. This next clip is in town. By the way, you're watching Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide, the greatest live stream in the history of live streams, even when I'm on the road with less tech. And this one's from our dear friend over at The Blaze, Glenn Beck. And it's I got to show you the name. I got to show you the name of this clip. Hold on. It's 3 stories that scare the crap out of Glenn. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Hal, obviously, he's going to take 3 divergent stories that have like a tenuous link and then paint them together into some bullshit conspiracy and then say there's a them or a they out there that's coordinating all this shit and then make a joke about it as if it's all going to pass in the same way Tin Pool kind of ends every video with, what are you going to do? I don't know, what are you going to do? Then why bring it the fuck up, dummy? You're like, it is what it is. Well, then shut the fuck up. So let's see. I want to know the 3 stories that scare the crap out of Glenn. Let me see. Female bodily autonomy, LGBTQ rights, and Alan Dershowitz's idea of the age of consent is never going to happen. I would go with that.
Hey, because I've got 3 stories that scare the living poop right out of me.
You got a prolapsed anus and I think a loose sphincter. I think everybody can guess that. Just from your diet, we can tell.
Nicely put.
Well, when you hear them, just the headlines, you'll be like, ooh, I might have to wet myself.
Why would I do that? Because of headlines. Oh, I get, because you're a clickbait bitch.
But instead of being all doom and gloom, let's play a game. Which one makes the poop come out of you?
What? This is not a well thought out title.
I know it's Well, which one makes you want to poop your pants?
Okay, that's a little bit better.
All right, here you go.
The other one was just disturbing.
Yeah, I know. All right. Here's the first one.
Please turn off the music. Please turn off the music. Please turn off the music. And again, if these are really that scary, why are you joking about them? Oh, because it's bullshit.
The United States government has lost trillions of dollars, and they don't know what happened to them.
Oh, no.
Okay.
That happens to everybody.
Like the White House can't find $6.2 billion sent to Ukraine. Where did I put that $6.2?
No. You can't say trillions of dollars and say, where did this $6.2 billion to Ukraine go? And by the way, that's House oversight. That's also bullshit. Where's this headline from? You can't put it up on fucking screen? Because I think you're just making them up.
$1 billion. Or my favorite, the U.S. Treasury, which I believe is kind of like the accountant's office of the U.S.
Okay, yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. They're unable to track $5 trillion just from the pandemic spending.
Just the $5 trillion?
Just the $5 trillion.
Okay, so not 10.
Yeah, you mean the stuff that happened under Trump?
Trillion.
No, it's not.
Not 80 trillion.
No. Okay, so headline number 2.
Also, those weren't headlines. Those are just assertions. Where I would like to know where the headlines are from. Am I being silly? Why would I mean, if you're just reading shit off of Newsmax's site or Ted Nugent's spirit cooking fucking show.
Australian lab reports losing 323 deadly virus samples.
Just the 323, though.
Little poop, little pee,
okay,
just a little bit.
Just wish we wouldn't.
And this one, in a war against China, the U.S. runs out of missiles in a matter of weeks, according to the House committee. Yeah, which one was that? Which one makes you go in your pants?
Okay, so first of all, I don't know where these headlines are coming from. It seems like he's just making them up, and it sounds like shit that like Chip Roy just told him. Like Chip Roy's understanding of reality, which is way the fuck off. Now let's check on that Australian thing. I think that's the closest thing to a headline story they might have found. Let's see. Australian lab loses deadly viruses. Hundreds of deadly viruses missing from a laboratory. Texas science 13 days ago. 300 samples of deadly virus go missing from lab. Officials investigate. Hundreds of vials of deadly virus missing after lab breach. December 9th, 2024. This is Australia. Obviously, so it's hard to blame Fauci, which I'm sure they would want to do. This would be this. Hold on. Hundreds of vials containing live viruses have gone missing from a laboratory in Australia, sparking an investigation. Queensland Health Minister Tim Nicholls announced today that 323 samples of live viruses, including Hendra lyssavirus, and hantavirus, went missing in 2021 in a serious breach of biosecurity protocols. The breach was discovered in August of 2023, with nearly 100 of the missing vials containing Hendra virus, which is deadly. 2 of the vials contain hantavirus, while 223 vials contain samples of lyssavirus. Hendra virus first discovered in the 90s after infecting and killing several horses in Australia. Only a handful of humans have caught the disease after being infected by horses, but a large proportion of infected people died. Hendra virus has a 57% fatality rate in humans and has a devastating impact on those who've been infected. There are families on the veterinarian equine. You know, it sounds like a pandemic to me. I don't even think you have to worry about it. Don't even mask up unless you're around a horse. Hantavirus is carried by rodents and can cause hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, which has a mortality rate of 38%, while lyssavirus is similar to rabies and also has a very high mortality rate. They are serious viruses of animal origin that can kill humans if infect them. However, infection generally needs hand-to-mouth contamination, and they do not spread, so the risk is limited to direct contact. What did I tell you about the whole fucking Ebola thing? Yeah, there it is. However, infection generally needs hand-to-mouth contamination. You got to actually eat the shit. Or touch it and then touch your mouth and get it that way. And they do not spread, so the risk is limited to direct contact. These are all diseases that only spread. That's why they aren't contagious so far. You know, clearly there's a, you know, again, you have to take precautions, but fuck it. Let's just panic anyways. Who needs to think about this shit? Now, I don't know where his other stories came from. Let's see. Glenn Suplay again. The U.S. government has lost trillions of dollars and has no idea what happened. Has lost trillions of dollars. All right, I'll do a search for that one as well. Because this sounds like headlines from The Blaze. The Hill. You're going to fact check. Past government shutdowns cost the U.S. billions. Fact check. The U.S. government screwed up $247 billion. That's what we're talking about. Biden-Harris administration's $1 trillion improper something. Okay, that's just an argument. Pentagon fails 6 audits in the trillions. Okay. No, the U.S. government didn't mysteriously lose trillions of dollars the day before 9/11. The claim in 2023 was the U.S. government mysteriously lost trillions of dollars the day before the attacks on September 11th. That's false. The long circulating claim misrepresents remarks about $2.3 trillion in accounting entries that officials at the time said were insufficiently documented because of outdated technology. Remember Y2K? The entries were made during fiscal year 1999 and detailed in an early 2000 report. The facts more than 2 decades after the 9/11 attacks, false claims and conspiracy theories about the events still circulate. Okay, so that is the only one. And then what was the third one? Story 3, a House committee predicted the U.S. would run out of missiles in a matter of weeks. A House committee. You think a Republican, hold on, you think a Republican committee wants U.S. missile buildup? So there's the Washington Free Beacon, Yahoo News, American supply of, okay. This is what they're talking about. Hold on. Burk, I'm not do this. Hide distracting shit. Take that out of the way. Take that out of the way. Trying to get rid of all the Temu ads so I can show you this. Okay. So, here it is. Whoops. Oh, just me. I just need me here. There you go. Sorry. Johnny's not here. There we go. U.S. missiles would run out within days in war with China. The U.S. would run out of missiles within days if war breaks out with China, a House committee has found. American supplies of long-range anti-ship missiles will run dry within... Whoops, I don't want to turn this on. Done. Long-range anti-ship missiles will run dry within 3 to 7 days if China invades Taiwan, according to a war game simulation conducted by the House Select Committee on China, which is all maggots and whatever. Within a month, the U.S. would run out of long-range cruise missiles. Meanwhile, Taiwan's own stockpiles of mid-range anti-ship missiles would be spent within a week of fighting. The findings would raise alarm bells among lawmakers who worry that America's defense industry is woefully underprepared to protect Taiwan should Beijing make good on its repeated threats to invade. What we learned is that in a protracted war, our defense industrial base does not have the resources it needs to win that war. The China Committee's chairman said, John Molinaro. It's stretched thin with different regional conflicts around the world. We need to make sure we shore up our defense industrial base so we can win a war if it were necessary. And what they're talking about is just military spending. They want more military spending. That shouldn't be surprising at all. That's like that thing like we're going to run out of bullets. Okay, anyways, maybe they dig in.
I have to say, I think the third one is...
China?
Yeah. I mean, although the disease one...
323, remember,
It's actually the same 3 diseases, and you need hand-to-mouth contact, and they don't spread through the air or anything like that. Yeah, and it's Australia, where a spider probably ate it.
They're already talking about Pandemic X.
Disease X.
Yeah. Disease X.
Yeah.
Also, no. When they talk about that, it's because they don't know what specifically it will be, but the disease they are talking about will have several traits. It is deadly, it is contagious, and it is airborne. And so when they're talking about any disease that might actually happen, we should be prepared in case something like that shows up. That seems logical from a Boy Scout standpoint. That's why they call it Disease X, because they don't know what disease will qualify as those things, what will mutate into that, or what will show up from the world that might kick in that is highly contagious, airborne, and has a massive kill rate. You would want to be prepared for something like that, especially if it was intentional, like a bioweapon. And America will be more vulnerable to a bioweapon attack under RFK Jr. than at any time in its history. And that's so for all those America First fuckos, I'd like to say to you guys, why do you hate your fellow citizens and want them to die of an easily treatable disease?
Okay, calm down, kids. We don't even know what it's going to be, but it's going to be bad. We're calling it Disease X.
Because it's the traits, not the disease, dum-dum. Also, if you have a problem with the use of the word X for fucking everything, Musk named his kid and his company and his AI that.
Mask on now.
This is the problem with how they handled COVID.
Yeah.
It's like now no one's even going to believe a Disease X threat if it happens.
Oh, yeah, they will. Yeah. I will. Everybody who got vaccinated last time will and survived. Anybody with, like, immunocompromised people around them, well, yeah. But maggots are going to have a death toll higher than anyone else because of you fucking people. Because Stu and Glenn and Alex Jones and all these motherfuckers made them not take the jab, and they managed to skirt by this time. And then when this really bad threat comes through, they're not going to react. Then they're just gonna die, and it's going to be 100% Stu's fault. Stu, you, Glenn, everybody at the Blaze, fuck you. You are lining up to have their deaths on your hands. I was going to say blood on your hands, but unless it's an Ebola type disease, it's probably more like puke or mucus.
I actually am concerned about the pandemic stuff. Like we've talked about that for years, way before COVID, about how that's a legitimately huge risk.
Oh yeah. Because I got to tell you,
because what? People are disgusting?
If Fauci is pardoned by Joe Biden, why are you pardoning? For future crimes? For future crimes. Biden.
Well, they're going to.
Yeah, but he didn't pardon him. That was a story. He doesn't have to pardon him for anything.
I mean, their argument is that Trump is said he's going to come after him.
Wait a minute. But wouldn't he worked with Fauci.
I know. It's a very strange.
He worked with Fauci.
The alliance.
Right. He did what Fauci told him to do. So he was just following orders.
These are odd.
All of the stuff that's coming out shows that Fauci knew and covered up. Our government and
knew and covered up what?
China are both complicit. Now, I don't know how deep, and I don't want to go into it. Let's.
Well, that's because Trump was in charge when all this shit went down, and he was saying trust Xi Jinping, and they're being very professional and handling it. Do we need to relitigate how fucked up Trump's response to COVID was? Also, Operation Fart Steed, if I may. Where are we? That's not the. Hold on. Where's my thing over here? It should be over here. Yeah, I should say I should have that like in one sample. Operation Fart Steed. Right.
Trial happened, but they knew and they covered up and
knew what?
Millions died. I don't know.
Knew what? Knew that it was dangerous, motherfucker. You're the one who you're the assholes floating around this pandemic bullshit.
I don't think there should be a pardon for that one.
I don't think there's any chance Donald Trump's going after Anthony Fauci if he's in office. Do you? I do. Is that you do?
I do.
For what?
I think there are too many people in Congress and in the Senate that have had it. I mean,
I agree with
Rand
that.
Paul is.
Well, Rand Paul hates Anthony Fauci
for good reason.
I'm not saying it's not for good reason, but
I am. What's the reason?
You know, Rand Paul was let's say, very skeptical about the vaccine throughout the development. Donald Trump sees it as one of his great accomplishments in office. Donald Trump was on stage with Anthony Fauci.
He was bragging about it.
Captain's log.
Operation Fart Steed.
When
but he's also,
the words 15 days to slow the spread were said.
He also is the guy who just pointed RFK. When RFK walks into his office and says, this has got to stop.
But when it comes to...
What's got to stop? What? Vaccination? Fuck is wrong with you?
A criminal... It's one thing, I think.
I know.
When it comes to a criminal investigation, you're opening up not only Fauci, but...
But Trump.
All sorts of people who work...
Trump's the one who allegedly created Operation Fart Steed.
Captain's log.
Worked with you.
I know.
Who had the best of intentions.
Why do you think I'm worried about the Secret Service so much?
Well, you think the Secret Service is on Dr. Fauci's side and they're going to kill Trump?
I mean, when he starts to go in, I mean, think of the literal, I just told you, where did we put that $5 trillion? Think of the money that is involved in this. Trillions of dollars throughout all of this. How much of that is just in people's pockets that shouldn't be in people's pockets?
Sorry, first of all, you think this $5 trillion was lost during Biden? It wasn't. You think if it was lost, as part of the overall budget in trickles since the fucking 60s, it's not even a shocking goddamn number. Slather that over defense spending and the Cold War and all kinds of shit. Certain states that require a lot more emergency support than other states do.
How many people have done things that they should not have done that are really, really bad?
Oh, you mean like Trump's friendship with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell and like wishing her well from the pulpit or in the press room or that kind of thing? Maybe even just being friends with the fucker for 2.5 decades was a line too far after the first 2 hours.
You're dealing with the intelligence agencies, the FBI, the Department of Justice, let alone the pharmaceutical companies.
They're all in league together. Yeah, the pharmaceutical companies who are competing against each other. The one thing they do agree on is they align themselves with the CIA to threaten to kill the president if he doesn't start Operation Fart Steed Part 2.
Captain's log.
Plain old business people.
Yeah, just your average insurance salesman, somebody who runs a corner store. I don't trust any of these motherfuckers.
You've got a lot of very powerful people that are like, wait a minute. I'm worried about because my name is all over the Epstein book, but wait, you're doing what else? You're looking into what else?
What? Why would they be worried with Trump in charge? He's all over the Epstein files.
I mean, it is a cesspool. It's going to get dangerous. It's going to get very, very...
What the fuck is he talking about?
Very, very dangerous.
It's going to be interesting. I do think they will...
Oh, Stu's trying to logic his way out of this, isn't he?
They will go after some of these people they've been talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know what the line is there. Like going after Cheney, for example. I don't think he's going.
I
don't think he's going to do that. I don't. So okay.
No, I don't think he's going after that.
Like I'm trying to think of who's the example of who's someone you think they will go after outside of who we've spoken about already. Like someone you think.
Yeah, so I can't tell you names of people. I just think
I have a general kind of, I don't know. My man boobs start to throb at the thought of certain people, and I won't say their names because I find it very upsetting.
That when it comes down to it, like all of the people that were involved in,
oh my fucking God, this is. Hats off to Stu. I don't like the guy, but how do you sit next to this dickhead every day and not eventually throw a drink in his face? Like a big Sonic Diet Dr. Pepper, just splash. Although he'd probably like it.
Russia. That's just all going to come out.
Yeah.
No, it won't. You know why? Because if it all comes out, here's what you should do. I agree, Glenn. Declassify the fucking grand jury testimony. Declassify any communications from the White House about during Trump's time in office where the Mueller report, the Mueller team couldn't look into his finances. So therefore they could not establish motive because money was the primary driver.
That stuff feels more likely to me than
it's going
Fauci
to be,
or Cheney.
Yeah, it's going to be an X-Files. They'll...
They're going to crack it right the fuck open. You're right. Yeah, he's going to tell you all about the Area 51 shit. He's going to explain the JFK thing. And the Epstein files are going to be, well, not so much those. But I'm going to go after all the people, the Russia, so that they can ask for discovery on where the investigation went. And he can claim the fifth on it. And they can go, well, you got no case if you're not willing to give them discovery about why they have legitimate concerns and they saw documents that gave them those legitimate concerns, but you are classifying those so it can't be shown in court. Then you can't try somebody. You're not going to just send these fuckers to Gitmo.
Just release all of these files.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Glenn, that's totally going to happen.
Of everything that's been overclassified.
And that stuff seems more likely to me than necessarily him using the Justice Department to go after crimes. Right. Like I think if he finds crimes, I think he's going to go after him, which seems to be consistent with his statements.
Correct, but I don't think he's not going to target people in advance. I
keep hearing that.
There's no way. I just don't believe it.
Yeah, asshole. You know why? Because there's nothing there. There is no evidence. There's no Hunter Biden laptop. There's no conspiracy that Liz Cheney was engaged in some sort of communist plot to Russia Donald Trump, and he was an innocent victim of a slander campaign by Big Pharma and Bill Gates and the WEF and like the Moldovans. That's why he's not going after him. Same reason he didn't go after Hillary Clinton. Not because he didn't want to. Because he knew there was nothing there. When he got in, he was like, oh, fuck, she didn't do anything illegal. Once you see the evidence, what's his option? Make some up? Good luck. With those dipshits running things, with the people he's surrounded himself with, you think those assholes can manufacture rock-solid evidence? You think your own people will believe it? Because half of them, it won't be enough evidence. It'll be, she's way worse than that. Liz Cheney's a fucking baby eater, right? And if you're not showing the evidence of that, then clearly you're in it with her. And then everybody else is going to go, dude, this puts her in places she wasn't even on those dates. She was giving a speech halfway across the country. Shit like that. Lame.
I've talked to him too many times. He has said...
That's true. Anybody who's spoken to Trump has spoken to him too many times. Ask his wife.
And for months, I'll say, wow, what do you think about that? You know what? You know what our best revenge is?
Success, right. That's him pussing out, dummy. He's not like, I'm going to be so great, they're just going to suck it. He's backing down from all of his threats because they were all bullshit to start with.
Absolute and total success.
Yeah. He said that.
Yeah, totally. And it'll be fine. Like, nobody's going to want heads to roll or any of this. They weren't really serious about that. And they're going to be too busy. You know what? They're going to be tired of winning. Too tired of winning to watch the trial of the century as his enemies are hung up in front of the fucking, in Guantanamo or in front of the White House.
The other day in that interview,
it's consistent. He is not doing that.
And
not now.
And the media is going.
This is the same thing that happened in 2016, 2017. 2016, he's like, lock her up. Absolutely. Yes, lock her up. 2017, I don't think really there's anything really we could try, but obviously she'll sue and win.
Going with a lower and lower standard of truth with this.
I know.
Where it started out with he's going to prosecute people he believes committed crimes.
Right.
Which is kind of what he said.
Right.
Like he actually, and not all people, as we saw with Hillary Clinton, he believed she committed crimes and didn't go after her. But then
well, did he really believe it?
He's going after his enemies.
Right.
Then it became he's going after his political enemies. Then it became he was going at...
Why is this a change? This just sounds like a different phrasing to the same fucking question asked in a myriad of different environments.
Going to go after his political opponents. The latest one I heard was he's going after his critics. His critics?
Yes, he's threatening reporters, dum-dum.
You what? 48% of the country? He's now it's so insane.
Half the country.
He's not going.
Wait a minute! I thought he won overwhelmingly. What do you mean half? Also, he didn't get half. He got 48% of the electorate. He didn't. He's the first person to win the election and not break 50% in decades.
After just random critics. I believe he's, going to instruct, and he says he's not even going to instruct, but I
believe that too.
I believe he'll have a layer of separation there, but he's hiring people he believes will go after criminals. People he thinks committed crimes.
What?
Like what?
And then there's, by the way, a justice system.
Yes.
Right, Glenn?
Yes.
Did I miss? Did they get rid of that?
No.
Can the president just say, well, you need to go in jail and you need to go in jail? No. You'd have to go through a trial, and then there would be challenges and everything else against that.
And those trials would be in Washington, D.C.
Which
not necessarily.
Probably wouldn't go all that well for whatever Republican wanted them to go well.
Correct. So, all right. So
no. Again, they don't just happen in Washington, D.C. because they are a federal trial. There are federal benches all over the fucking case. Eileen Cannon, anyone? You absolute asshole.
Let me just quickly go through these other, because I have something that I want to talk to you about that is so obvious, but so controversial.
This is going to be painful, isn't it? I'm going to regret this. Son of a bitch.
And I've got to find time to squeeze it in because there's something...
Ew. Maybe Stu can help.
That is happening with both the Daniel Penny story and Luigi that has to be said, and I haven't heard anybody connect these two and say what has to be said on that. And so I'm going to try to squeeze that in maybe next hour, but we've got a jam.
Let me guess. Luigi isn't, for all intents and purposes, white, according to you, and therefore he's getting a pass on who he kills versus the white guy who choked the guy on the train who was attacking people who died. And, and he finally gets released. And maybe this is what the fuck? Leave both of them alone. You don't know shit about either case.
Packed show today that you just don't want to miss. Let me go back.
I do. I'm glad I missed it. I really am.
Over those other two stories. The Australian lab losing that I don't know how you even lose them. I mean, how?
I'll tell you how. One of the things could be that somebody disposed of all these because they go through different cycles and they have samples of things, but they go through a purge and they purge some of the old samples and somebody didn't write it down. That would be one of the things. Like they did a whole day's purge and then somebody didn't check the fucking boxes on that day and somebody comes back and goes, oh, Gary did that. Fuck. That would be one of the ways. The other thing is that you shipped them to another lab and then somebody didn't mark down that they were shipped to the other lab and the other lab goes, where do these come from? And they go, oh, we have them. That would be one of the ways it happens.
We talked about the money thing. That's something that I think that...
the money thing? Tell me about the money thing.
Doge is going to clean up and better. The last one, in a war against China, the U.S. runs out of missiles in a matter of weeks. I think personally that this is what Ukraine, this is one of the things the Ukraine is about.
Oh, I see. So we're fighting to support Ukraine so that we'll run out of ammunition so that China can take Taiwan because that's Biden's secret plan? Fuck you.
Depleting our missiles, depleting our ability.
No. Hey, asshole. These are anti-ship missiles. Oh, my fucking God. We're not using we're not sending anti-ship missiles to Ukraine. I don't know if you know this, but the vast majority of the fighting in Ukraine is happening on land, and the boats that have been sunk have been done by, like, drone canoes.
Ability to defend ourselves, depleting they never refilled the strategic oil reserve.
What are we going to do? Squirt oil on them? You do realize we have nuclear submarines and nuclear battleships, right?
That all has to still be done. That's crazy. It's crazy. It's the lowest ever.
So is our use of the oil that we produce. That's why we're producing as much as we are, and why so much is going to market is because Americans are using less of it than ever.
Now we can't defend ourselves because we don't have, we don't have.
We're not talking about defending ourselves, dummy. We have a nuclear arsenal. We're talking about defending Taiwan, stupid.
Have certain kinds of rockets and missiles and everything else.
Yes, the kind that aren't being used in Ukraine at all.
It's nuts.
It's dumb. You're dumb. You're a stupid person. This whole story, this concept does not fit into your dense, hollow little fucking cranium.
So I personally believe that...
Oh, God, help us.
That is strategic to weaken us in the world.
Okay. Explain yourself. So we provoked Russia to attack Ukraine so that we could use up all of our weapons so that China could attack Taiwan and use it as a base to attack us and control all the chips in the world, except Biden's whole plan to move the chip manufacturing to Arizona, set that plan back a couple of years because it was all for show or some shit.
However, it's also the military-industrial complex saying, great, go ahead. You guys in BlackRock, you can rebuild Ukraine. You can take their farmland in exchange, which they've all done.
No, they haven't.
And we're going to have to restock at a much higher price everything that we have to have for, the U.S. military, because it's going to be clear we have to have these things. Okay, that's what I think is going on. But
based on what? Based on what? The military bill that went through the Congress the last 4 years, each year, and was signed off on by Republicans, went through committee that way, signed into law, went through the Senate, all that kind of stuff. So they're just, everybody in there is just part and parcel attaching themselves to this so that they can be part of the military-industrial complex part of it, except the rednecks from the states that make this shit, that gain from the money being spent in their state, but don't want the stuff to go to Ukraine.
Let me take a more optimistic view of that.
Ugh, fucking hell.
Is it possible that there is someone who's saying, Everything's got to go. I've been telling you for a while, aircraft carriers are the horses of World War I. There were almost no horses left in Europe. Did you know that? Almost no horses left because they all went into battle, and there were tanks and there were machine guns and there were things that nobody had ever seen. And all of these horses died, left literally almost no horses in Europe after World War I. I think that's the aircraft carrier in the next global war. The next big war, those aircraft carriers are going to be swarmed by drones. Everything that we have is outdated.
He's just trying to make me insane. Okay, so sorry. Our nuclear-powered supercarriers, of which we have 11. China has 2. Neither of them work. One of them used to be a casino, and the other one has a giant crack in it and caught fire last year. And they've got a bunch of fucking tugboats and stuff that they call naval ships. And our shit is outdated because they're too big and easy targets in deep water, even though our ships can go anywhere. That's why we're a superpower. And Chinese ships can't go 500 miles offshore without having to be refueled because they're diesel. Does Glenn know any of this shit? I'm dead serious. Do you think does he know any of this shit? I can understand having some gaps in it, but son of a bitch. Hold on, I'm going to reopen this so I can see you guys. By the way, hit the like, share the show, etc., etc. I'm out of time, and I got to rest my voice a little bit because I got to sing tonight. But, yeah, no, an estimated 8 million horses, mules, and donkeys died in the war, but they're still far from being extinct in Europe. You keep lying about everything, Beck. Yeah, it's just silly. What he means is, what he kind of should just say is they're like the, horses in the age of cars. It's just so lame. Jesus Christ.
I'm wondering if part of this, in a positive way, is let's get rid of all of this stuff.
Yeah. We're going to let, I got it. Yeah, we're going to let China attack Taiwan. We're going to send over our super carriers full of American service people, sailors, Air Force, all those people ready to fight. And we're just going to let the drones swarm them and let them sink just so we can put them in the past. It's a great military plan. From the mind that brought you, vaccines are the more efficient way to kill people than an actual disease. Glenn Beck brings you the way we get rid of old military gear is not to retire it and turn it into like little sightseeing parks like we've been doing, but to just send them into battle and sink them.
Because we have to rebuild. Now, I'd prefer we didn't do that. I'd prefer that we were honest with the American people, and we told the American people we have to completely retool.
Retool what, motherfucker?
Because if you're not transparent, then that leads to conspiracy theories, and it also leads...
No. You can't blame them. And also, being completely transparent in terms of your military plans is kind of disadvantageous in a war situation. Because if I know, so do the Chinese, dummy.
Do very bad things. But there is a possibility that that's what we're doing.
No, there isn't. There is no possibility that we're just letting our shit wear out so we can finally trick the American people into building us fucking Project Insight.
Because the next war that is going to be fought is not going to be fought like anything we've ever seen before. It's going to involve artificial intelligence. It'll probably involve robotics, actual on-the-ground robots and drones in the sky. And it'll be terrifying. It will be as shocking and as terrifying as World War I was. Because
yeah. What do you think? A boat full of drones just going to pop out and form a dragon in the sky and then attack everybody in San Francisco Harbor? Is that what's going to happen?
Because that was the time where we all of a sudden mechanized everything, and nobody had ever seen that. This is going to be the one where it's mechanization with significant intelligence that will just overwhelm everything.
Yeah, and again, we have a better AI setup than they do. Our DoD has their own trained DoD AI. And bingo was his name. O-D-O-D-A-I. D-O-D-A-I. Anyways, hold on one second. I want to jump back in with you guys real quick. And whoops, why is that? There you go. Boink. There you are. Just like these assholes are just like I guess if fear is your business, what else are you gonna do? Right? Because the problem with fear as your main motivating point is that it has to get more extreme if it hasn't happened. You know what I mean? If it hasn't come true, you have to create something over the horizon that's worse to keep that fear machine rolling, right? And the problem is at a certain point it gets absurd. You start with Friday the 13th, which is this boy died and it's like the ghost of this boy is killing people, but it turns out it's his mother seeking revenge, which is a completely terrestrial thing. To the next one, it's actually she died, but the boy came back to life and he's an undead monster that can't be stopped. And then you end up with like Jason X in space. You know what I mean? It gets silly. And that's where these assholes are with this stuff. My laptop just decided it's nighttime. It went to 5 o'clock and my screen colors changed. It was cute. So it has to be like absurd. Well, I mean, you can't stop it from being absurd. It has to grow so much that there's no sensible landing point. It has to, like, the more frightening it gets, the higher the chance it will also sound nuts. And I don't know how they don't see that. You know, a lot of the talk about the drones lately, somebody sent me a clip, and I'm sorry if I don't remember who it was directly in the chat room or whatever, but on Blue Sky, they sent me a thing on Blue Sky about, like, David Spade and Dana Carvey on their podcast had one of the UFO guys who's saying that, you know, between now and the inauguration, Biden and those guys are going to release all this information about aliens and that the bots are a head fake and all this stuff. And it's just like, come on, man. All this shit has just never come true time and time and time again. And there may be something to this stuff, but you don't fucking know. And because you're kind of being called on your bullshit and everything you've said has turned out to be a fucking dud, everything you say going forward has to be absurdly outrageous. Or nobody's going to pay attention. It's going to happen in the next 10 days, next 20 days tops, maybe the next month. And they're doing it before the spring. They have to. And then spring rolls around, you're like, well, this is the perfect summer to try something like that. And hoping people forgot that, 90 days ago you were saying this was going to happen in 45 fucking days. Dan Aykroyd is a believer. Yeah, and I got no problem with that. Hey, Jimmy Carter saw a UFO. I saw one when I was a kid. That's not the point. The point is that these assholes pretend to know things they don't know, and they fearmonger as a way of driving audience. That's the problem I have. And the more it doesn't pay off, I mean, maybe they don't care. Maybe that's the business model, and that's the magic of it, is that the world always prints new idiots, and anybody who used to listen to Alex Jones has moved on, but a new tide of dipshits will always roll in and take a pull off of his bullshit pipe, right? There'll always be somebody, rolling into town who's new. So even when people mature past believing shit or come to the terms with, like, this guy's a fucking liar, they still have to, there's still something they can leave, but somebody else will take their place. And so there's always this, like, window in human idiocy, like, where you're just gullible enough, just on your own, early 20s or something, where you don't have a kid necessarily and you're not ready to buy into it fully, but you start playing with it. Then eventually it grows to you're in your mid 30s or something. And you're like, I got to be a fucking adult. I can't have my kid thinking I'm this fucking dumb. And you drop it. And then maybe you revisit it like Roseanne when you're in your 60s or 70s because your brain's on a hard fade. But and I, the audience has to take some kind of responsibility, I would argue. But the problem I have is with these fucking it's like fear mongers, these fear salesmen, these doom sprayers that know that that's where their nut comes from. And it's just like, it's so fucking weak. And by the way, I think we got one super chat in here. Dill Hill Certified Wild. Thank you so much for the super chat, by the way, for your work. Bless you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I got to go. I shouldn't have done 2 shows today because I got to sing my ass off tonight. So wish me luck. But I missed you guys, and we hadn't had regular shows, and I'm trying to get back on schedule. So I appreciate you guys putting up with it, and I will see you later. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. And I will be on the radio tomorrow back home. I'm driving back after the gig tonight. So, tomorrow the 4 Horsemen are coming. Right. That's the gig, man. Did I say tomorrow? I meant Sunday. Well, not this Sunday, a Sunday, but probably one soon. I have a good authority that it's one of the next 3 Sundays or 5. In next three or some 3 or 15, some variation of 3. The Lord, it's funny how the Lord told me the other